What if I were to suggest that you play a key role in the awakening world? And that you are watching this because you have heard the call. We can start right now by opening our hearts and minds. Welcome to the awakening world.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Awakening World. I'm your host, Love Coach Scott Katamas, and we've been doing this show for almost 4 years now, and periodically we do a show on authors that we love, because so many of the people that we get to meet are wonderful authors, and the purpose of this show is to inspire and to inform, just as you saw on the opening video. And so tonight we've got 3 more authors who are going to share their visions, their books, that are all 3 very inspirational. Our first author, you just met her about a month ago on another edition of The Awakening World. And I am talking about Dr. Gerri Schwartz. And Dr. Gerri, as I like to call her, is the co-founder, along with her husband, of The Visioneers. And The Visioneers is an amazing organization. We've got the camera on you, by the way. Gerri was seeing all those wonderful responses as you look at your husband. But as I was working with her and learning about The Visioneers, I saw that she's also written a really important book that I think a lot of our audience is going to relate to very, very strongly. And so welcome, Gerri. Really glad to have you with us. We also have with us Lisa Manyon, and Lisa's a new friend to me. I just met her tonight, but she comes highly recommended by our good friend Mia O'Brien. Many of you know Mia from the Twin Ray community, and Lisa is going to share her book with us. And I'm not going to tell you what the books are. You got to stay and watch the show to find out about each one of these books. And then finally, we've got with us, and this is really fun. This is Marcia McMahon, and she's been watching Global Peace Tribe shows for a very, very long time. And I discovered in communicating with her that she's got a perfect book for our audience. And so I invited her to also be on tonight's edition of The Awakening World. So welcome, Marcia.
Thank you so much, Scott.
You get to go from being one of the people watching and in the Zoom room to actually being with us live.
I'm one of your biggest fans, and I hope you enjoy my material.
I'm sure that we will.
It's all about world peace.
Thank you. Thank you. And it's great to have you with us. And a little bit later on in the show, we will have beautiful beloved brother Nicholas, who will be leading the meditation. But it's always Omar Shar. Thank goodness for Omar Shar. I know that he's become such a big part of the Awakening World. And tonight we're going to have not 1, not 2, but 3 Omar Shar songs. He's going to change his name. Remember the band 3 Dog Night? Tonight it's 3 Song Night featuring Omar Shar. And there he is in the library.
This is my actual room. I seem to be coming through the floor here. But hey, what I've decided to do is play the same song 3 times. So how about that? This song is called Love Will Lead the Way. And we're going to go to our beautiful planet because I'm all read out in this library here. It's an amazing library. Look at this. It's a real one. I think it's Trinity College. I could be wrong, but there we go. So we're going to go back to where we all live. And light of love has come, centering my soul. Amazing things abound. Now we've reached our goal. So celebrate your liberation. Shine your love throughout the world. Consciousness proceeds true being. I am here. I am now. I will light the way. Our love will lead us on. Oh, our love will clear the way. Our love will show the world. Oh, there's nothing in the way. Let go of stories old and walk into the new, free to be at last. So stand up and be true and celebrate your liberation. Shine your love throughout the world, 'cause consciousness precedes true being. I am here, I am now, I will light the way. Our love will lead us on. Oh, our love will clear the way. Our love will show the world. Oh, there's nothing in the way. Dum-ba-da-da-ba-da. Dum-ba-dum-bum-ba. Free to be at last. So stand up and be true and celebrate your liberation. Shine your love throughout the world, 'cause consciousness precedes true being. I am here, I am now, I will light the way. Oh, our love will lead us on. Oh, our love will clear the way. Oh, our love will show the world. There's nothing in the way.
Beautiful. Let's go to gallery view and give him some twinkles.
Give him some twinkles. Oh boy.
And
It's one of my
love
favorite things
does
to
lead
put.
the way.
It does. That was one of my favorite things to put on ice cream was twinkles. So thank you for remembering that, Scott.
All right, now while I've got you, what book has been inspiring you recently?
You know, the latest book that I have been reading is well, it's actually two. One is called Resurrection by somebody called Neville. This is an old book, but it's all about manifestation and how you have to feel as if something has come into manifestation for it to be made real, which is, of course, the peace process, but that's a long story. And just letting in Jim. And the other one is called Inspirations from Ancient Wisdom. And this is three authors. One of them is somebody, Krishnamurti, and someone called Mabel Collins, a theosophical woman, and Madame Blavatsky. It's a phenomenal little book on how to be super conscious in 10 minutes or less. So there we go.
I actually used to go see Krishnamurti speak. He would speak before he passed away at the Ojai Foundation. And I was in LA, and we would drive up and see Krishnamurti speak. So he's an amazing story. I don't know whether they haven't made a movie of his story yet.
I know, right?
So, all right, well, let's get to our authors, and we will be back to Almost Short two more times to hear that song two more times so we can memorize all the words. Okay, we are blessed to have with us really a woman. The more I get to know her, the more impressed I am. And I'm talking about Dr. Gerri Schwartz. She's a psychologist, an applied scientist, an educator, an essayist, and a poet. And I think tonight we're going to get a little bit of all of those things. She's the founder and senior psychologist of the Vancouver Learning Center, and she has spent more than 30 years transforming the lives of hundreds of young people, mostly ones who are faced with learning challenges. When she was on the Awakening World earlier, we got to see a wonderful story of one of the young men that she helped, who came back to her 10, 15 years later and shared the extraordinary work that he's doing. She is now with her beautiful partner that I think she's chatting with there, the man off to the side that she keeps looking at with love. And they are the co-founders of the Visioneers. And many of you were with us when we talked about the Visioneers before. We'll be talking a little bit more about it. But tonight, we're going to start by learning all about your book. So welcome back, Dr. Gerry. It's good to have you back on the Awakening World.
Really glad to be here.
And tell us about your book.
Okay. Well, my book is very unusual in a variety of ways. It's a book about poetry. It's a book about science written in a layperson's language. It's a storybook, and it's basically about what's going on in the world right now under the radar, which is the transformation. And I'm particularly excited to be on this program because I think that this program and its audience and participants are really contributing to this under the radar transformation, which we need to do as a species. So that's what I have to say about my book.
And I'm going to show it briefly. And it's a great title, Journeys of Second Adulthood, A Woman's Search for Higher Ground. We're going to learn all about how to order it and how to get it. But there it is. There's the book. Stories, poems, and essays. And I like how she says it's written with lyrical exuberance and insightful wisdom. And I think you're going to share some of that with us tonight.
Shall I go?
Yes.
Okay. Well, first of all, I would like to say that the topic is transformation, and that's a very big topic. It's very complex, but I will try to simplify it as much as possible because the message is extraordinarily important. Okay. So, first of all, I'd like to tell you how I write so that you get a sense of what you're going to hear. All the poems you will hear are always written at one shot. They seem to come out in the morning after I've had a sleep and the poem appears, and then I write it all, and it really puts the whole picture in a very short manner right in front of me, because when I read my poems, I can see how I truly feel. So without any further ado, because my topic is transformation, I'd like to start with myself. I'd like to say that, and I tell that story in the book, but I would like to say that I have been a misfit in my generation because I was not a person who followed the rules that were in place when I was young, even a child. And so I lived a double life. The life at home was very quiet, and every time I spoke of the achievements at school, it was received with great criticism. So I understood pretty quickly that that was not a great idea, and that I should just proceed to do whatever needed to keep that under the radar. But I loved school. I was a very successful learner, and I was a leader, a social leader. I had lots of friends, and I was happy and perky, and that happened all the way through school. I started university very young, having skipped some grades along the way, and I entered my first adulthood a week after I had graduated with my first university degree. In those days, there may be some people in your audience who will remember that women did not go on to university. The reason I wasn't following the rules is the rules were that the job of women was to be very quiet and to raise the next generation and marry well. And learning was not part of that story. And it's so wonderful that today that's not the case anymore. But so I entered my first adulthood. I did what I was supposed to do. I married. I had two wonderful children who I tried to raise the best way I could. And what happened in the marriage that I was in was that this business of not being fit for the rules of the time continued. And I got to the place in that where I couldn't stand the double life anymore. And so what I'm going to read to you is one of the poems at that moment in time where I was a mature woman. My children were teenagers by this time, and I was in deep despair, although that was a very, very unusual way for me to be. It's called Dreams of Decision. On the rug in front of the fire, two spirits wrestle for my soul. One old, wise, and proud, eyes clear and strong. She reminds me of my past sorrows, my youthful mistakes, my moments of acute pain and deep distress. I recognize myself in her. The other, young, fresh, eager, eyes brimming with joy and hope, she points to the diplomas of my successes. I recognize myself in her. I am transfixed, watching the fight. I long to tip the scales in favor of hope, but I cannot. The stronger of the two will win, and I can only watch. So that's where I was when I entered my second adulthood. I left my marriage. Very sad. It was very sad. I spent the next 2 years in deep gray moods. And although I wrote poetry since I was a child, I stopped writing poetry. But I walk the beach a lot. And I began to recover myself. Since I was on my own, I didn't have to live a double life. And one day I had what I would call an epiphany. I was walking on the beach, beautiful beach as usual. It was full of people doing things they do on the beach, and I was just doing my thing. And then all of a sudden, there were these waves of color that swept over me, and energy came in. And I realized that I was alive and well and fully functioning, and I should get off the seat and get going in my life the way I wanted to. And from that point on, I lived my life in the skin of my authentic self. And so I began to do things I never did before. I started traveling the world. I accepted invitations to describe my work. And in most particularly, having just graduated with a new PhD, being in a new city and that sort of thing, I was just looking for every opportunity to spread the word that I was seeing and the new information I was understanding that didn't seem to be available to everyone else. And so I fed my clinical practice and worked on the transformation issue with children who had learning differences. And hundreds of them are doing things today that they never would have done if they hadn't passed my way at that time, because I recognized things in them that other people didn't. Okay, so what I need to say at this point is that I began to write poetry again. And as I wrote this poetry, I began to realize that I was different than I was before. I wrote a poem on loving, about the kind of partnership that I would like to have. And in my travels, I met an extraordinary man. Now, I was very afraid here about this, because having lived this double life all along that I didn't want to go back to, I thought, oh my God, if I stopped being on my own, the same thing would happen to me again. But would you believe it didn't happen? I started to write poems again, and I needed courage, and I wanted to be bold. I wrote this poem at this moment in time. Listen to the different energy that comes through this poem than the dreams of decision where I could only watch. It's called Of My Life, and the rest I will make no less than wonderful. Be gone, you timid heart. Wonderful needs another kind of strength. Let the trumpet play courage songs, that I may march head high. Let each muscle in newly grown wings pull its weight, that I may gather every ounce of fuel for liftoff. Boost me free, strong heart, to fly over majestic mountains at dizzy height for an eagle-eye view of even higher peaks beyond. Yes, yes, be gone, you timid heart. So, given that kind of energy and that boldness, I began to take a new journey. Now, to tell you the truth, if I was left to my own devices, I may have been overcome by this fear. But this time, I was met with an enthusiastic response, and I was not alone this time. Although I was afraid, I could see a second adulthood just ahead. And so Desmond and I married in August of 1989. And we're entering 35 years now, and we have been doing some extraordinary work on this transformation together, not only of our own, but of the people in our network, and I hope in the world. And it's a wonderful time for us. So I thought I would give you the sense also of where this has come with a poem I call Yes. And this is a series This is yes one, and it begins the transformation. Yes is an affirmation built on 1,000 no's. No to death, pain, darkness, sadness, and bad compromise. No to lethargy, fuzzy thinking, mediocrity, and boredom. Yes begins with the intention to take little yes steps. Yes to vigor, to strength and striving, to hard work and homework, to study and learning and thinking, to writing and being. Yes to embarking on journeys, to questing and questions. Yes to dancing and singing, to poetry. Yes to feeling and friendship, to well-being, to good food and good drinking, to beach walks, to popcorn and movies, to fireside chats and pillow talking. Yes, to fun places, to wilderness spaces, to mountains and climbing, to playing and dreaming, to planning and deep seeing. And when the chorus of yeses rings out in celebration, filling the heart with wild courage, it's easy to take giant leaps to say yes to growing, to being, to soaring, to living, to loving, to me, to you, to us. So I can, I will, and I do. That was the pledge I gave to Des, and I read it at our marriage as part of our marriage vows. And I have to say that this transformation has been going on in a most wonderful way, and all those yeses have, for the most part, come true. Now, where does that take us, and where does that take my science, which is a key issue that I want to share with people today? Okay. So, humanity needs to survive and to thrive. In order to do that, it needs a global mind change. Now, that is a very difficult phenomenon, except it's been happening all over the world anyway. And that at least 90% of the activities of humanity are in the positive region. But the media floods our minds, our heart, and our gut with the neurobiochemical messages of catastrophe, as if it were the only truth. Right, you guys, you are part of that whole thing. And at any moment in time, you open the radio, the television, the social media, wherever you go, and you hear about wars, floods, and humanity's most awful behavior, as if that defined us. But I'm here to tell you that there's something different going on, and that we're living in an incredible time, an existential moment in history, when reality is being shattered in the same way that it was shattered when Columbus's ship hit the shores of North America. It is being shattered at the time when Galileo looked at through his telescope and saw the Earth was the center of the universe. We are living a time where things are so extraordinary, and the technology is showing us such extraordinary things, that breakthrough is opening up and possible. We are evolving as a species in front of our eyes, and the stories to provide evidence for that is here. And there are two basic reasons in science that I'd like to share with you to tell you why that is so. When I first started my work and my research, my professors at McGill thought that the brain was neuroplastic. This means that it could change and learn throughout life. So as long as there's breath in you, you are able to pay attention and focus, you can learn. And that the idea of age is a number. And I want to say something about that too. This means that we can change our mind, except we understand that our ability to do that depends on the neurobiochemistry that is available for us to learn. And until we start listening to the good stories, hearing the good songs, and understanding that evidence is out there that we are an extraordinary species, we are a noble species evolving towards goodness, and that the whole truth is not what the media is telling you, we will not change our minds, because that kind of message fills us with fear, and the neurobiochemistry of fear prevents learning. And not only do I say it like that it was said by my professors all those years ago, now we have the most extraordinary technology that looks at the microbiome and the neurobiochemistry of humanity as it's learning. They put these little caps on and they can see what's going on inside the brain, and they were proven to be right, just as Einstein was proven to be right all these years. So, because the brain is neuroplastic, and because it is part of a system. We used to think we had the brain and the heart and the gut and the liver and all that. We have learned that each of these organs are part of a system, and that they operate at a complex level at the very tiniest quantum, which needs to be magnified 100,000 times for us to actually see it. That at that level, consciousness is a system that includes the heart, the brain, the gut, and every cell of our body. So you can't imagine the complexity. It operates at a speed of a millisecond. And that's why it's well under our awareness. We don't know what makes us breathe and learn and eat and all those various things. It's happening so quickly. But nevertheless, it is very marvelous, and it can learn. And here are two reasons why it's happening now. And I think the audience on this program should pay attention to this, because one of the things I want to say is that this has to do with demographics. The demographics of age. Because in order to change, we need to become emotionally, and in order to become emotionally intelligent, we need time. And we are now living longer than ever before. There are billions of us who are contributing in our 70s, 60s, 80s, 90s, just as magnificently as we did before. There's a new phenomenon at work. In science is exploring it. They were talking about it in terms of the American presidency. There is such a thing as super aging. In order to super age, you have to eat well, sleep well, love well, and do meaningful work in your life. And if you do that, age is just a number. And so there are millions of us, and there needs to be many more who are aware that they have a contribution to make. So that's one reason that we're at a time where people are living longer now than ever before, and we have more of these super agers than we've ever had. And the second important thing has to do with the rules I broke all those years ago. Because women are now making a contribution in roles of leadership and in science and in every other way you can imagine. They're now entering into proper partnerships with men, and we are inviting contributions from multi-generation of young people, middle-aged people, old people, and these contributions are going on regardless of what the media is telling us. So you might find these stories in the back page of your newspaper, the way I heard today of these two young teenagers who saved these people on a beach in Barbados, just because of their courage and their incredible ability. So these incredible stories are being told in these silos. Our universities are in silos. Our businesses are in silos. We need to understand that these silos are artificial. We need to take away the barriers and understand that at this moment in time, we are all global citizens. Whatever country we come from, whatever age we are global citizens, and we are empowered to work if we work together. And here's the crunch of everything that I have to say. We used to imagine that intelligence was in the brain, and you had to be clever to learn and pass your courses, etc. What we have not understood is that emotional intelligence is the chief of all intelligence. It is an awareness of what is going on in the world at the level of feeling. Women are really good at it. And what is going on in the world is what I call the Forrest Gump experience. Now, some of you may be old enough to remember the film Forrest Gump, where he was not very clever and couldn't do ordinary things. But when it came to emotional intelligence, he was fabulous. So for him, a promise was a promise, and his idea of right things were right, and he told the truth all the time, and he saw the good in people, and his emotional intelligence was magnificent. Well, remember what I told you about learning? You have to learn this too. And so what we need to do is we need to create courses and programs, and of course this program is one of the things that is informing people, whether you give it that label or not, just because that's a science term. This is about emotional intelligence, and this kind of experience is incredibly important. So coming back to where I started, we need to transform the way people think. We need to take away the barriers between us, understand that we're one species, one family, that we're evolving towards goodness, and we're the most powerful when we work in positive relationships together in our authentic way and express our passion for each other and the world and life. And that's what I have to say. The book tells the story in much more detail, and I know anybody who reads it and the other poems will enjoy this. So there's my story for today.
That's beautiful, Gerry. And I'm going to read a few comments from the audience, and then we're going to take a look at your website. Deborah writes, empaths will save the world. Emotional intelligence, yes. Reverend Jeffrey writes, compassion is a superpower. Ayada wrote quite a bit. I'm going to read a little bit of it. She writes, I so relate to part of your story, Gerry. After being an honor student in high school, I was ready to sign up for university, which I was so excited about. My father promptly told me that he was not going to waste his money sending me to university because I was a girl. My dream was shattered because at that time in the 70s, I did not know there were other ways to cover tuition. So there is an extraordinary story. Susan Bloomquist writes, this is what is attracting the people here, the emotional intelligence expressed on the awakening world. And, you know, it's true. Studies have shown that emotional intelligence is far more important for success in life than mental intelligence. And most of the kind of progressive corporations now, when they're interviewing people, they interview for emotional intelligence skill building. And that's important. Maureen, we love you, Maureen. We're glad you're with us tonight, writes, Gerry's book is wonderful. And thanks for sharing just a little bit of a tease from the book. You have expressed the message, could this be a third adulthood?
As a matter of fact, I am in the journey of elderhood is in my head. Now I'm just looking for time to write it down, but many of the poems of it have already been written, and I'm so happy to hear somebody encourage me to do that. but that may be the best one.
I look forward to that. We'll feature that for sure. One more comment, and then I'm going to go to your website. Ayada, I feel like crying because I so relate to everything you shared here. My heart feels so uplifted and inspired. And that's from Ayada. So thank you, Gerry. And everybody, I want you to take a little journey with us right now to the website of the visioneers.ca. Again, Geraldine is up in Canada, so it's the visioneers.ca. And there's a couple of things we're going to take a look at, but we're going to start with the Waging Peace Project, Start Your Journey, so we can take a little look at all that they have to offer here. I'm going to read the 3 questions to be considered as you proceed on your journey. What is the meaning of the key thinking in this episode? See, they provide beautiful episodes. 2, how does what you've learned apply to your own community? And what are some applications of this wisdom to acts, projects, or programs in your community? And what they've put together is this beautiful program where each one is step by step connecting to the others, taking some of the great minds, Willis Harman, Irvin Laszlo, Jane Goodall, and many of these people, of course, you've seen on The Awakening World. And they all wrap it up with episode 10, which is Gerry and her partner, then leading it to Dr. Edgar Mitchell, who I had the good fortune to interview several times for my television shows before he passed away. So definitely check out those beautiful episodes. And then we're going to go back to kind of the main page, if you will, for the visioneers.ca. We're going to take a look at their platform, and we're going to go to the Masterworks platform. And at this Masterworks platform, that's where we get to see all the different, there's so much on this website, podcasts, music, poetry. And of course, we're going to go to writing. And there is her book, Journeys of Second Adulthood. And if you click there where we can learn more about it, there you can get kind of some of the details. And of course, what we really want to do is we want to buy the book. And the best way to buy the book is to go to Amazon. And there it is on Amazon. And I see that it's available on paperback, and it's also available on a Kindle edition. So let's definitely support Geraldine. What an incredible thing you have created. And I just want to acknowledge your beautiful husband, who's somewhere there to the side, Desmond. What you two have created with the Visioneers is so beautiful. The wall of stories, which I'm honored to say that I believe I'm on that wall.
Yes.
And of course, Tatiana, who's one of our favorite. There he is. There's the man.
Bye.
Hey, Desmond. Good to see you. Thank you for all the support you are providing to your wife and your partner, the inspiration for her poetry, and so much more.
Yes,
Yes.
you heard the flavor of it in what she was reading, and I'm glad to have been a part of it.
But Des is the chief writer in this team here, and his book, The Visioneers, is absolutely wonderful too.
Well, we'll have to do that on the next Authors That We Love. Desmond,
Yep.
while we have you here, let's embarrass Gerry a little bit. Tell us what she inspires in you. What about your wife inspires you?
Yuck.
I promise a little embarrassment here.
Well, it's such a joy to be in the company of someone who really encourages you, uplifts you, inspires you to be the best that you can be, and to be able to work together. Our minds sort of synchronize, and we sit at the kitchen table and just kick things around and then go away and do it. And sometimes the technology drives us crazy. Gerry's not the best at the technology, and I get asked to do things that I don't know how to do. But I think the wonderful thing is to know that you are in a bonded relationship that is the most precious thing that you can enjoy on earth.
You two are such an inspiration, and an inspiration because you came together a little bit later in life. And so it just goes to show that at any time in life, we can find a partner and create. And what you're doing now is probably the most important work both of you have done so far, and you both have had amazing lives. So thank you for being such beautiful and positive role models for us. Thank you.
Thank you for giving us the opportunity to share it with your audience. I think that's one of the most important things we can all do. You know, we're building what we call a collaboratory of leaders, people like you, Scott, all over the world in 62 countries now, after only 14 months. And there are hundreds of stories. So that wall of stories, when your picture goes by, if they click on it, they go to your pavilion. And what we are creating is an international exposition, a web of good work. And so the story of the global tribe is on the Visioneers, platform, and everybody can hear about it that way too. And so when my idea here, and it's really important, is that we need to work together. And here's just a perfect example. We had it this week. We just had a few conversations. And then we can share, and then people on our network are listening, and people in your network are listening, and that they can share. And we need to get this message out that we are a noble species evolving towards goodness. And what's under the radar now, that needs to come out in the full media. And that's what we have to do.
Absolutely. You know, I'm going to bring up, they didn't know this, but I'm going to bring Andrew and Connie on. Hopefully they can hear me and see this.
Oh.
There are, here are two power couples, and power couples at a later age in life. And Connie and Andrew are going to be featured on our show next Wednesday night, along with Pragit and Julianne from the Stargate Project. So I thought it'd be kind of fun, since I saw Connie and Andrew in the Zoom room there, to bring them up. And to both couples, you are such an inspiration to all of us watching.
And
You know they have a Visioneer Award, do you? Did you tell everybody?
Yeah.
Not yet. Did you put it up?
I just put it in the chat. We were honored with their Visioneers Lifetime Achievement Award just in time for our wedding last December.
We are
Thank you.
newlyweds after 19 years of engagement. We are now officially newlyweds, which is exciting. And that award came literally on the eve of our wedding.
Well, I hope you told people about that.
So indeed. We're very proud of it, and we're honored, Gerry and Desmond.
And we are planning to come your way in later this year. By the way, we're very good friends of Maureen's.
There she is.
There she is. Hello, Maureen.
We'll have to meet in person then. That would be wonderful.
That's great, because now we have the faces to go with the
honor.
The extraordinary stories that we know, but I didn't actually know what you looked like. So I've been excited.
Well, I hope you're not disappointed.
I very much doubt that, Des.
Hey, I got to move the show forward, but it's,
thanks, Scott.
Very, very exciting and really, really fun to have all of you. And thank you, everybody, for waiting for our evening meditation. It's going to be a little bit later than usual, but beautiful, beloved brother Nicholas is here with us. Welcome back, Nicholas. You look like the Zen yogi master in your white robe. Oh my God, how beautiful. And I hope you enjoyed what you heard from Gerri Schwartz. And I'm going to lead it right over to you to lead tonight's meditation.
All right. Thank you, Scott. Yeah, I suppose a nice little bonus of being a yogi is I can basically wear pajamas and I can say I'm being professional.
It's beautiful.
Yes, a beautiful sharing, and you all are legends in my book. So resonated with all that was shared, and it's so inspiring to me. I mean that with all my heart, and to show up and to keep up as all this beautiful work that you are laying down for us and have been for so many years. And so my piece of the puzzle is the art of meditation and bringing up pajamas. The art of meditation in the simplest way is this art of relaxing, softening with a great alertness. Meditation to me is like that golden nugget to anything which we apply ourselves to bring forth that presence and to unlock that deeper awareness within. And so let's go into that space. And as Gerry was sharing, in this special time that we're living in, let's say yes. Let's say yes to ourselves, to this moment, to shifting tracks of our mind and relaxing, trusting that you are guided, you are listening, that you're here in this beautiful company of people. You can relax and trust that guidance is guiding you very well. And then tune into that. The art of meditation is nothing more than that union, that relation within. Let's take a moment. Feel the breath, feel your body, and come into a relaxed posture. And together, let's use the breath to connect deeper in this space. A full breath in. And through the mouth, sigh it out. Twice more at your own pace. In through the nose. And fully out through the mouth. Clear it out. Once again. Softening, softening, soft. And in this age, a teaching which is special in this age that I keep close is one thing to always stay connected to all the change and all the energies coming through, is to the sun and to the energy of the sun, to the rays of the sun. So we're going to symbolically interlace our fingers, creating a hoop in front of our heart. And though we may all be indoors, using the imagination, and if we don't, may we remember, we are only as limited as our imaginations. Let's breathe in. Imagine breathing in this beautiful nourishment, sustenance, that which nourishes the most primal essence of your being. To connecting deeper to that, lift the gaze to the crown. Imagine opening the crown and breathing in through the hula hoop around the heart. We could call it prana or chi. Use the visualization, the rays of the sun, this coded information, golden light, warmth. Holding this posture like a chalice to receive. At some point, the arms will get heavy, and it will take a bit more grit to hold those arms. So deepen that breath and come into the heart, even more into the body. Hold the arms through the strength in the heart, strength in the spine, and your intention in the breath. A few more rounds here. With each breath, say yes to life, to this moment. Very nice. One more breath here together. Hold the posture, hold the breath, lift the spine, lift the pelvic floor. And exhale, totally soften, relax down. Hands to the legs, palms up. Soften the shoulders. Just being in the body, in that emotional intelligence, that inner wisdom. Feeling closely, breathing into it. Then we're going to shift into the next posture here. Now, interlace the fingers in the opposite way, where the fingers cross here, and they're going to stay like so, the thumbs pointing straight out as well, in a way like a flower blossoming. This time, we can let the arms rest to the sides and rest this mudra right here in front of the heart. And stay with the intention. Say yes. Say yes. Yes to your dreams. Yes to the vision that beats in your heart. The song that wants to sing from your soul. Yes to these very special times, which takes great courage and, as was spoken, compassion to stay steady and to see the good work through. What is your piece to the puzzle? May we take this moment to remember, to say yes. A few more breaths here. Feel it in the body, in the cells, in the gut, in the brain as well. Notice where you might be tight, where it's not needed. Is it the jaw, the tongue, shoulders? Soften into this moment. Feel it. Say yes like you mean it. Feel it in the brain. Feel it in the heart. Feel it in the gut. Feel it in the cells. Invite in those rays of the sun. Say yes. Okay, let's unite once again. Deep breath in. Pause. Into the spine. Lift. Gazing up to the crown. Lighting up. And exhale. Relax. Relax. And now to bring it home. To crystallize, so to say. Palms unite. Thumbs come and press right into the curvature. About 2 pounds of weight. Keep the gaze lifting to the crown. The intention connected to the sun. Really feel yourself lighting up here. deep, steady breath. Very nice. One more breath here. Bring it in, bring it home. And exhale, full relax as you sigh out, softening down. Relaxing the breath, body. Inviting in a beautiful balance, harmony. And feel in this moment, it's a reminder that you are not alone, never alone. And all these beautiful people around you that feel that passion that you feel to stand for goodness. May we believe in that more than ever in this moment. With one more full breath in to complete. And exhale. May it be so. And slowly bring yourself back. Maybe rub the palms into the eyes. Pass it over to you, Brother Scott, giving thanks for this opportunity to be a part of this community.
Thank you so much, beautiful, beloved Brother Nicholas. And thank you, Omashar and Diara, for being our models, our beautiful male model and our beautiful female model. Thank you both. And Brother Nicholas, thank you so much. I have put into the chat box how people can reach you for private yoga lessons, which is always a wonderful thing. And we'll look forward to seeing you next Wednesday night.
Until then.
Thank you so much. Happy pajamas. Isn't he beautiful? He's just such a wonderful, wonderful soul. Well, question for all of you. Who out there has had the experience of something very difficult, maybe even scary, happens to you? And there's the initial shock and, oh my God, but it ends up being a wake-up call. And then as time goes by, you look back at it and you realize that this wake-up call was perhaps even divinely inspired. Well, our next guest is somebody who is going to really share an experience like that. And that actually is what became the inspiration for her book. So I'd like for everybody to meet Lisa Manyon. Welcome to the Awakening World, Lisa.
Thank you, Scott. It is my pleasure to be here.
Yeah, it's good to have you here. And I'd love to just have you kind of share with people your story of what happened and then how that led to this wonderful book, Spiritual Sugar.
Sure. So this is kind of an interesting story, and it's actually going to go back 2 years prior to me going on my big health journey. I was actually sitting in my office and I received this divine download, and it said I was going to write a book that was going to be titled Spiritual Sugar, and it was going to be about healing with love. And at that point, I thought to myself, this was in 2015. I thought to myself, first of all, look, Creator, what is this all about? You already have me doing a really big body of work in a whole completely different arena. I don't feel like I'm a healed person. Why am I getting this divine charge? What is this all about? So honestly, I freaked out a little bit and I journaled about it. I set it aside. I journaled about it, set it aside. And then fast forward to 2017. And as Scott mentioned, I was faced with a really interesting journey. I was having some health issues and I wasn't sure what was going on, but I knew that it was something big. I didn't in a million years ever imagine that it was actually cancer, but it was. And so the book is about, yes, it's about my healing with love journey with cancer. It's about spirituality and it's about faith, but it's not all about cancer, because quite frankly, one of the things that I want people to know is that receiving a diagnosis for cancer is not necessarily a death sentence. Now, the Western medical industrial complex would have you believe that that is true. And it's not necessarily true. Now, every cancer is different. Every person is different. And I'm certainly not a doctor, so I will throw that disclaimer out there. But this whole journey was divinely driven for a very, very specific reason. And that was so that I could write this love letter to humanity and to show people that there are many paths to wellness. There are many ways that we can heal. So basically what happened in 2017 is I was having all kinds of really strange symptoms. And the type of cancer that I had was a base of tongue throat cancer. And what was happening to me at that time, one of the many things that was happening, is my throat was swelling. And I should back up a little bit. So I've been a messenger for as long as I can remember. Since I was a child, as soon as I could, I was writing bad poetry as soon as I could start writing. And so I've always had this gift of vision when it comes to writing and also when it comes to marketing. So my main business is called Right On Creative, and I've been doing that for over 20 years, where I teach marketing with integrity, which is why when I was given this charge to be speaking about healing with love, I thought, listen, creator, I trust you, and I know that I follow you, and I know that you've never really steered me wrong, but what is this all about, really? So quite frankly, people had been waiting for me to write a book about marketing for decades, which I still have not done, because what happens is when we are given charges by the creator, and whatever that means to you is completely fine with me. This is an equal opportunity belief system here for me. I am not here to tell you what to believe in, what not to believe in. For me, I get a direct connection to what I call God. It could be Gaia, source, universe. It's completely up to you. I don't believe that we're judged by what we believe in. I just believe as long as we are connected to the light, we're going to be okay. So I'm given this giant charge, and I'm not really sure what's going to happen with all of this. And par for the course, doctors are not listening to me. I'm telling them there's something going on in my throat. I can feel it. It's growing. It's starting to cut off my airway. And I'm told that I have an abscess tooth. So basically, they're not listening to me at all. I know something big's going on. I keep pushing for answers. And at that point in time, I hadn't resigned myself to the fact that I was never going to get to the root cause with Western medicine, period, because that's not what they're designed to do. The allopathic model of medicine is beautiful in many, many ways, but it is really set up to address symptoms and not causes. So when I kept pushing this doctor, who I fired, by the way, you can fire doctors, actually, pushing her to share with me, like, help me find out what's going on here. And she basically said to me, look, you have so many things going on. I can't just throw all of you in an x-ray machine. I don't really know what to do with you. And then she specifically asked me if I thought I had cancer, which I found to be a very negligent question. Because quite frankly, I'm very intuitive and definitely divinely guided, but a little thing like, I don't know, never going to medical school precluded me from giving a diagnosis. That's why I was there. I was there to hear from the experts. So basically, finally got into an ear, nose, and throat specialist who was able to take a look with a scope and look down my throat and say, wow, it must be nice to know that you're not crazy. You definitely have a growth in there, and we need to get that out, and we need to get that out quick. It was about the size of a walnut. It was growing rapidly, and I was having trouble breathing. Had I listened to the practitioner I was working with at that time, I would not be here having this conversation with you today. And this is why it's really important to me that we all are very sovereign in our own bodies, and that we question everything. I'm all about breaking the trance, challenging the status quo, questioning everything, and engaging in critical thinking. Because if we do not do it, no one else will do it for us. And quite frankly, I teach this in the realm of marketing as well. We've been brainwashed to believe specific things are the way that they should be. Pardon me, and that's not really true. In many levels. I'm not going to go into that super deep because we could go down so many rabbit holes with that. And I know you're all highly tapped in and aware here on this call. So basically, found out that I had that it was an aggressive type of throat cancer. And I underwent 2 surgeries. I had a transoral robotic surgery to remove that. And I also had a neck dissection where they cut through my neck to pull out some of the lymph nodes to see if the cancer had jumped the brain blood barrier, which it had not, thank goodness. So I'm very happy about that. So basically, I don't want this to seem like it's a big bummer because cancer is a big topic. You know, of course, I'm given the charge to write about some pretty triggering things. We're writing about cancer and faith and spirituality and healing and all of the things that bring up a lot of emotions. But what I want you to know is that this journey was truly a blessing because it showed me many things that are not really being addressed with Western medicine. It showed me how important it is that we as a humanity commit to ourselves now before we experience a giant wake-up call. And also that we should not be ignoring these little, I call them God nudges or divine downloads that we get, because if we do, you will be shaken to where you need to be. And I mean that. You won't be stirred, you'll be absolutely shaken. And that's how I ended up in Ashland, which is a part of the book as well. So throughout the book, basically, again, I said it's my love letter to humanity. So I do share my healing journey with some of my very specific journal prompts and things that I went through. And so it's in 3 sections. The first section is called The Awakening, and that is basically my journey that shares a little bit about what happened to me. The second portion is all about spiritual tools. So I overview over 30 ancient healing modalities, which people would call non-traditional modalities, but honestly, they're just ancient wisdom that are now coming to the forefront that we can use to heal ourselves, to amplify and fortify our own healing journey. So throughout this process, I did not just trust Western medicine. Yes, I needed them to work with me. They were my partner in healing, but they didn't have all the answers, nor did they have all of the medicine that I needed, so to speak. And when I say medicine, I'm not even talking about pharmaceuticals. I'm talking about taking your shoes off and getting out and putting your feet on the earth and connecting with that Schumann resonance, which is the heartbeat of the earth, and tapping into our own circadian rhythm so that we're really feeling just the energy of the earth and of life force. So there are many, I tried all of these 30 modalities. In fact, I didn't even overview all of the modalities that we could potentially use to heal ourselves. But I wanted people to realize that we are far more powerful than we are given credit. We have the ability to heal ourselves, and our minds are far more powerful than anyone gives us credit for. And one of the things that I want to talk about a little bit is, you know, when I say I want everyone to know that receiving a cancer diagnosis is not necessarily a death sentence, because it's not. There's many ways that we can heal ourselves. There's many, many opportunities. Now, the reason that I entitled the book Spiritual Sugar, The Divine Ingredients to Heal Yourself with Love is because it would be negligent for me to try and give you a specific recipe. I actually argued with my book coach on this because she wanted it to be the divine recipe to heal yourself with love. But quite frankly, because every person is different, every cancer is different, and every healing journey is different, there is no magic pill for everything. There is no magic wand that I can wave to tell anyone to do one specific thing. So I wanted to make that really clear. But it was super important to me. People realize that again, receiving a diagnosis for cancer is not necessarily a death sentence. And there are two things that I want to talk to you about there, and it's the nocebo and the placebo effect. So many of us have heard of a placebo effect where they'll give you a sugar pill when they're trying out a drug. They'll give like 50% of the people in the trial a sugar pill and 50% the drug that they're testing. And oftentimes the people who are taking the sugar pills will have even better results because they believe that it's going to work for them, even though there's nothing in the sugar pill that's really that great for you, period, right? So on the flip side, there's also something called a nocebo, and this is a little bit heavy. We'll get into some lighter things here soon, but the nocebo is where you're given basically a death sentence. Someone says, hey, you have cancer, and they estimate how long you have to live. And our mind is so programmed and so powerful that it believes what these experts are telling us. And it's like, okay, I only have this long to live. So I guess that's the truth. And what's been shown to happen is people have been misdiagnosed, given that expiration date, and then they've passed on that specific expiration date because they went into the mindset of believing that they were going to expire, so they did. So imagine if instead you believed that you could heal and you put all of that power and all of that energy towards actually healing with love. So that is what I chose to do. And that is what worked for me. And it's worked for a lot of other people too. So I like to share that. And the spiritual tools that I use, many sound healing, meditation, all of the things that this community is very well versed in and likes to incorporate in your individual practices. So my goal with the book is for you to be inspired to commit to you now, for you to take a look at some of these spiritual tools and start incorporating them into your life. Oh, I love it, Sylvia. That's great. I see you earthing there. That's fantastic. And just take charge of your health now. We have to be sovereign with our own bodies and what we're letting into our bodies. So think about all of that. And then I also overview 7 spiritual sugar principles. They're areas of your life that I recommend that you fortify. And that would be your faith, which was really what carried me through. Staying in the vibration of love and faith was absolutely paramount in my healing. The second thing is to really fortify yourself and your family. We cannot give from an empty cup. So we really want to make sure that we are lighting ourselves up, that we have a great spiritual practice, whatever that might be, that we're eating good food, that we're doing all these really great things, and that we're also nurturing and nourishing our families as well. Also, your mind. Third thing, your mind. We want to, even though it might seem like I'm saying, yes, fortify yourself, give your mind its own little bit of attention. Read great books, just like we're talking about tonight. We have extraordinary authors here sharing their love letters to humanity as well. And then your body, we've got to move it. We've got to use it or we'll lose it. And that sounds a little harsh, but it's very, very true. So I want to invite all of you to do that as well. And then your environment in your community. It's really true that our environments will support us, or they may also hinder us, right? So sometimes, and I'm not going to say I'm perfect because I'm not, I'm on this healing journey with all of you. It's continuous, and we'll always have additional opportunities to heal with love. But keeping your environment tidy, clean, things like that, you're going to be able to operate on a more optimal level. Now, sometimes my office has, I call them organized chaos piles around, and I am told that sometimes a messy office is the sign of a genius. So I'll give that a little bit of credit, but none of us are perfect, right? But try and keep things as organized as you possibly can in your environment, and then your community as well. And your community right here is an example of a beautiful community, right? So it's an example of how we can come together and share these thoughts with one another to hopefully just amplify the good vibes that we have on the earth. That's what it's all about. And then creativity is a really big one. I think we should all be singing, dancing, painting, writing, making music, doing something super fun. You know, it's experiential, and it's so important to do that. So be creative. Even if you don't think you're creative, get an adult coloring book if you don't feel like you can color inside the lines or outside the lines, or however you want to look at that, but do some things for yourself. And then finally, it's your intuition. And this is the part that I really want to, and I start with faith as number 1 and intuition as number 7, but I really feel like those two are very much interchangeable. Our intuition is what, you know, it's our gut knowledge, it's our inner knowledge, it's our connection with our higher self. It's our connection with everything that keeps us connected to the universe, to all things good on the planet. So I really recommend working on your intuition. If I did not follow my intuition, again, if I didn't question everything when I went through this whole journey, I wouldn't be having this conversation with everyone that I'm having now. And all of these beautiful miracles continued to unfold as I experienced this journey. And I was really blessed to get some beautiful support from some people who I really admire. I have bookends in the form of a foreword by Dr. Joe Vitale and an afterword by Neil Donald Walsh. And I cried when I read what both of those gentlemen wrote. And it was an honor for them to see what I had written and say, this is worthy. We want people to hear about your healing with love journey. We want people to be able to heal with love themselves. And so I've made this a very experiential. Throughout the whole book, there are what I call spiritual sugar heart sparks. So there are a lot of journal entries. There are a lot of things that you can think about. One of the questions that I like to ask everyone is, what if heaven is earth? How would you behave differently? And if you feel moved to, just pop something in the chat about that right now. What if heaven is earth, or earth is heaven, either way that you look at it? How would you behave differently, right? We're all looking and seeking for something else, but we're right here in this now moment. What can we do here and now?
I love that idea.
About that.
I love that idea of people putting into the chat box, what if heaven is earth? Because I do believe there's the astral plane, which is what most people call heaven. But definitely we can experience heaven on earth in these bodies by the way that we choose to see each other and the way we choose to see life. And so that's a very beautiful. Kathy just wrote, it is a frequency. Absolutely. DR
Yes,
writes,
it is.
earth equals heart. And Reverend Jeffrey writes, yes, we are doing it right here, right now. So this is all true.
Yes.
I'm going to go to Lisa's page where you can get this book on Amazon, Spiritual Sugar, The Divine Ingredients to Heal Yourself with Love. And so it's available on Amazon. I'm going to put that in the chat box, but I also am going to go to her website, and it's really easy for all of you watching on Facebook. Her website is the name of the book, spiritualsugar.com. spiritualsugar.com. And you know, when people have had such a powerful experience that you have and then translate it into something that can help so many others, that's just very inspiring, Lisa. And thank you for the courage to follow your inspiration and to do that. And I love that it's got kind of a workbook kind of thing, that you've got all those different tips and make it really fun and easy for people to learn and to experience. And it's very cool that you've had Neil. Neil's been on the show many times. And of course, he lives in Ashland. So I'm guessing that you probably have connected with him in person in Ashland.
Yes, I have. In fact, he basically was a catalyst in me getting the book done, because of course, I had received the divine download to write it. And I was still a little hesitant. I mean, it's interesting when you're divinely guided because it's just an interesting thing. I'm sure many of you have had this experience too. And I was curious because I kind of thought I was a little bit crazy when I get these messages. I'm like, okay, I'm just going to go with it. I believe this is coming directly from the creator, but I wanted to ask Neil about it. And so I did. I said, Neil, listen, this is what happened. I went through this healing journey and, thinking about writing this book about healing with love. And I'm not really sure, do you have to go through like this big initiation like I did before you can be doing this work? And he just laughed at me with this knowing and gave me this knowing look. And he said, no, Lisa, some people just need to be hit upside the head with a proverbial 2x4. You need to get that book done. I don't want any excuses. Get it done. And I was like, okay, I hear you. I hear you. But, sometimes it's good to speak with others, with communities like this who understand, who realize that we are often guided to share these wonderful messages, as I know the other authors have shared too. These are powerful, powerful things that we can leave as a legacy and that we can help spark healing of the broken threads of humanity, which is what we're all here to do.
Absolutely. And one thing that, as you're saying, I just want to add, as a coach, I've really discovered that most of us hold back on doing our Dharma because we're not ready. The truth is, you're never ready. Was anybody ever ready to have their first child? Right? Was anybody ever ready to?
Such a good point.
Right? It's just, we just keep learning. We just keep growing. We just keep evolving. So don't let I'm not ready ever stop you from that inspiration. Just do it. Just go out and do it. Absolutely. Lisa, it's wonderful to have you on the show. Very inspiring and wonderful to meet you. And I hope to see you in person next time I'm up in Ashland.
That would be fantastic. Thank you for having me. It's just a delight.
Yeah, well, I'll be back up in Ashland in about 10 days, something like that. So hopefully we'll see you at one of the events that we're doing up there. And thank you so much for being on The Awakening World.
Thank you.
Another example of somebody that's part of our Global Peace Tribe community who's following their inspiration is our good friend Diara. And she was a school teacher for a long time, and has really brought into consciousness the importance of spiritual diversity. You might have noticed that in the last email blast, I put in a link to a beautiful talk that she gave about the importance of spiritual diversity. And Martin Luther King weekend is starting this weekend. Our show, Saturday night show, is going to be all about Martin Luther King weekend in the spirit of Ubuntu. And Deborah Diara is going to be participating in the MLK weekend. As you all know, we collaborate very, very closely with our friends at the Sign Network. It's the Sign Network that's carrying this show out to as many as 150 groups and pages right now. And the Sign Network and Unity Earth have put together MLK Weekend of Service. And guess what? One of the wonderful events they're going to do is this Friday, 2 o'clock Pacific time, 5 o'clock Eastern. And it's going to be Diara teaching and helping us to understand all about the value of spiritual diversity in education. So I hope all of us will go and join. I'm going to put the link into the chat box while Diara tells you a little bit more about what's going to be happening on Friday. Welcome, Diara.
Hi, Scott. Thank you. Hello, everybody. This is indeed a case of saying yes and moving forward in the face of naysaying and paradigms which try and tell you can't do that, you can't say that. I love that you kept your title, Lisa, of your book, Spiritual Diversity in Education. When I first started in 1998, the word spirituality was not even really being used at that point in the hospitals, never mind in public education. And I just knew that those words needed to be together to forward the paradigm of spirituality as part of our human essence. And in the schools, how we teach about the physical, the mental, And then the emotional, we need to also address the spiritual nature of children and human beings. And just like Gerry was saying, it's been under and over the radar for the past 30 years, bringing this topic into. I'm really excited to be presenting this weekend so that we can all take it further.
Beautiful. And what will take place during that hour? What are we going to experience?
I'm going to offer us some validity and credibility to allow this conversation to take place in a broader perspective. For example, if you have a school that you're involved with, this is a way to point and say, look, they're doing it over here. And it gives permission for this conversation about the spiritual nature to be discussed like we're doing with racial and ethnicity, gender differences, the way that we have with different abilities. So it's a conversation to move us forward. And just like that rod on the front of a train that pushes everything out of the way, and then ushering in behind us, those of us that want to continue this really important conversation.
Beautiful. Well, we'll look forward to seeing you Friday afternoon, 2 o'clock Pacific, 5 o'clock Eastern. Just go, it's all free. It's part of the One World Sign Network, Martin Luther King weekend of service. And thank you for being of service, Giara. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Scott.
I'm going to see Giara again in a moment because it's Omushar time. And Giara is one of the wonderful people that gets up and dances to Omushar songs. Beloved brother.
Yes, wow. What a story we just heard. Sugar, holy smoke. What bravery and what inspiration it has given me, because the part of me that's not ready to do my next steps is ready. So I have to get out of the way, Lisa. Thank you. And so this is a little song, and this actually is going to go out to Terry, sweetheart. If you're watching on Facebook, we are holding you in our heart, and I know that. So let's go here and. Change your hearts and look around you. Change your hearts, it will astound you. 'Cause I need your loving like the sunshine. Everybody's gotta learn sometime. Everybody's got to learn sometime. Everybody's gotta learn sometime. Oh, 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 oh. Free your mind from limitation. Fill your life with inspiration. Because we all need loving like the sunshine. Everybody's got to learn sometime. Everybody's got to learn sometime.
Everyone's got to learn sometime. Change your heart and look around you. And change your heart, it will astound you. Because I need your loving like the sunshine. Everybody's coming home sometime. Everybody's coming home sometime. Everyone's coming home sometime.
Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. I'm going to gallery review, everybody. Let's give him a big twinkle. Because everybody's got to love Omashar sometime.
Hey, too late for that. Meaning it's already done. Thank you so much. I feel the love. Feel the appreciation.
Well, you heard it today that he is feeling inspired from Lisa not to wait any longer. And
well,
so
that was a bullseye for not wanting to use old language, because there's a part of me that doesn't feel part of me that thinks that all of the ducks aren't in a row, that I need certain things to happen for it to happen, and they haven't occurred, so I haven't done it. So I'm just going to go for it, Lisa. Thank you.
Good. Well, what's going to be exciting is, of course, as most of you know who are here on a regular basis, to learn more about Omashar, we go to his website. It's his name, omashar.com. And we scroll down to Bandcamp, because that's where we buy his albums. And always, whenever I do this, and hopefully Bandcamp's going to open up for me, do you notice how there's that blank space there? It's just so beautiful. There they are, the 5 albums, and there's this like blank space. So I am now holding the vision with Lisa's inspiration.
It's an empty canvas, and I actually have 3 albums that are written. And so, yeah. And the first one, which is going to go in that blank space, will be, I think it's called The Unbearable Lightness of Being. Well, no, Lightness of Being, that's it. Without the unbearable bit, that's already trademarked. So...
well, you do bring a lot of lightness of being to us, Brother Omashar. Thank you so very much. And we will have one more Omashar song to conclude the evening. But we have one more author that we love. And this is really fun because it's someone who has been following, gosh, you've been with us for quite a while watching our Global Peace Tribe shows, right?
That's right. I've been a follower since 2020, since the pandemic, and I found your show so absolutely right along my lines of thinking that it was synchronistic that I found you, and it's a miracle that I'm here today And I too experienced exactly what Lisa went through. And
you know
I
what?
can
Take it
speak
away
to
and
that.
tell us the story. Tell us the story.
Well, that's not the topic of my show tonight. My presentation is on my piecework and my work with the Divine Feminine with both Princess Diana and Mary Magdalene, and the mediumship that I've been doing with these fine, saints, spirits, whatever you, ascended masters is how I think of them. But yes, I traveled to Israel when I was diagnosed with breast cancer, and I had been treated for a brain tumor that was recently discovered, and only a couple months ago. And this was in 2012, and I had previously been regressed to past lives and discovered that I had a past life with Jesus. And I never intended to write about it or tell anyone about it, but I had a lot of messages from Mary Magdalene. And previously I had been an art history professor and an author and Princess Diana, and working with her as her medium, her chosen medium or channel. She delivered all these world messages of peace through me and asked me to get them to the highest diplomats in America. That was a huge task, and I did that by night. And then by day, I was an art teacher, K-12, and a professor of art history. So I loved ancient mysteries, and I've delved into every kind of topic, but I'll just briefly share the titles of my other books. Couple. This is my painting of Diana, and this is called With Love from Diana, Queen of Hearts. And then I'm going to share a couple others, and then I've got quite a story behind all of this work. But then this is my first book. It's called Princess Diana's Message of Peace, fully illustrated by myself, and it's all original paintings of portraits with crowns, and then her later work with the landmines. But she has provided diplomatic solutions to the Middle East situation, where she had asked me to approach these diplomats and give them the secret which was missing from the war on terror, which is not to invade Iraq, and to rather provide diplomatic solution, which is the two-state solution. And that was given back in 2002. So I've been on this project a long time. But then I published all those works and was an art history professor, and I began hosting a radio show called The Peaceful Planet, much like your show, the formatting with the Peace Tribe, the Global Peace Tribe. So I was hosting my own program on world peace for about 10 years with BBS Network. And then, my life kind of came to a little bit of a halt, where I had the diagnosis with the breast cancer and I had to leave program aside. And then I had received this devastating diagnosis, and I knew enough not to listen to the doctors when they said that I would not live. And my guides angels were with me all the way. And here's this portrait of Mary Magdalene. So anyway, I didn't plan to really write this book or reveal a lot, but I was asked by Jesus to do it. So finally I came out with it, and it took me forever because in the course of the brain tumor, I developed a disability in my right hand, and I can't feel with it or grip anything or write. So I'm an artist as well, and I had to retire early, and then that freed me up to do more work, and I published other books as well on John Lennon. I channel him, and George Harrison. So I've been a peace worker and a light worker for many years and very devoted to my work, but I had to go off air. And then I went back on air with BBS, and then they had some unfortunate circumstances, and that was my time to buy out and start writing this next book. So basically, the messages and how I know that they were absolutely thoroughly true is that I was given personal advice by other mediums that came to me out of the blue, just coincidental at first. The first time I ever visited a spiritualist church, the minister for the day came to me and he said, "You there, I see Princess Diana around you to your right and Mother Teresa to your left." And I was like floored. I'd never been to a spiritualist church. I was a Protestant, but I was raised Catholic. I was like, oh my God, this is phenomenal. So he told me that he worked for secret government and he was involved in secret operations. And I ran my stuff past him because I had a lot of information that I did share with the government concerning terrorist stuff. And that is not published in my book, but it is true. And I helped them for a while, being, a good American and wanting to prevent future problems. But then I got out of it completely because it was just too dangerous. And I then began to wake up that the government was up to other things that weren't so good. So, needless to say, that was how I got to start in my channeling work and in my book writing. And then I was asked to do a program by BBS Radio and I presented The Peaceful Planet. So all of a sudden I developed this interest in the Jesus mysteries and I could always hear from Jesus in prayer. And so, I was teaching by day and doing these interviews on the weekends usually. And I would get sent these books on, the mysteries of the Grail artifacts. And I was into art history. I was teaching art history all the time, ancient art history, and nobody else at the college wanted to teach it. I always raised my hand. Yes, I'll take the class because I loved it. So I was doing what I loved and I loved, the radio. And so it all kind of came together. The material for the book came together earlier, but I really wasn't planning on writing the book. But then when Jesus came to me and asked me if I would be willing to write this book, and Mary Magdalene came to me as well and asked me, could I write her story? And she would be guiding me and giving me messages as I went. I gleaned a lot of information from other psychic mediums and other archaeological researchers that appeared on the Peaceful Planet show. And those archives are still online. So basically, I had a lot of different identities. I did a lot of different things. I wore a lot of different hats. And I had the honor of meeting all these wonderful authors from all over the world. And when I met Stuart Wilson and Joanna Prentice, who are the authors of the Magdalene series that they do, The Power of the Magdalene was the first, and Dolores Cannon published that one. Then there were others, and they were telling different stories that about the female disciples because they're all not really known about. So we got a lot of information, good information from their research with past life regression and also with the channeling from angels that Stuart did. And I made an instant connection and they started calling me Martha. And then other people on my show, Bob Murray in particular, I was connected to a famous medium in Canada named Bob Murray. And he was a frequent guest on my program. And he would come in. And one day near Christmas, we were doing a special on Jesus. And I was told by other mediums that I had a past life with him. And I asked him, do you think I had a past life with Jesus? And he said, oh, yes. And then he started expounding on it. And it was absolutely stunning because what he said was that he saw me after the crucifixion in England with Jesus, Mary Magdalene, and the disciples. And I was like, well, I was taken aghast because I had had one past life regression. And in that regression, I did see him die. And so I had no idea about the other theories, but I was digging into some evidence that he possibly truly resurrected himself and was able to be in the physical, or he, re-energized his atomic structure and whatever. I was curious, I was fascinated, so I had Bob back on. But in the meantime, that led to me to get more past life regression. And then I asked Jesus, is this true? Was I really a disciple? And he said, yes, indeed. And then I, continued to believe that. And then when my, as it turned out, I did a lot of research. And then the following week I had Ed Martin on the show. And Ed Martin was a really respected researcher on Jesus in India. And he revealed that this whole movie that he had done and a book called Jesus, King of Travelers. And then I learned from him that Jesus had gone to India as well, which is what these authors said. The authors also said that Jesus survived the crucifixion. Now, that's a debatable topic. I don't remember that. But there are all kinds of indigenous lore everywhere in India that he was there previous to the mission, and these account for the missing years. So Mary Magdalene then expounds on some of these questions that I had for her. And then I took this marvelous trip to Israel, and that was a healing journey. And while I was there, I stepped literally into my past life with Jesus. And we went, the first place we stayed was at the Sea of Galilee. And I remembered being on the boat. And then we went to a place in the sand by the Galilee for a little picnic. It was my brother and his girlfriend at the time. And it was identical to the painting I had done of Jesus. It looked identical. So all these confirmations kept coming. And then I remembered when I was standing at the, the Hill of the Beatitudes, it's a memorial there in Israel today. I remembered being there with him and his gloriousness in all his white and how he was doing the healings on people. And so this fascination with Jesus came to life, and it confirmed in my memories. But the most powerful thing to have happened during my visit to Israel, and including my archaeological investigations that I could do while I was there. I was there for 10 years and I was still recovering from brain surgery. So it was quite a difficult spiritual journey, but it was earth-shattering in terms of where I went with this. So I walked into the Protestant garden tomb, and then I recognized it. And my brother, who is a devout Catholic, asked which way did the body lay? And I said it was facing the Damascus Gate. And then no sooner did I answer the question, and I somehow remembered, then the guide came in and he asked the same question of the guide, and the guide gave him the same answer, facing the Damascus Gate. So I've illustrated this book, and it's titled Mary Magdalene Speaks: The Holy Grail, the Bloodline, and the Secrets of the Divine Feminine. I've highlighted some of the places that I think are really profoundly beautiful. And I also have channeled a message from Mother Mary and Mary Magdalene tonight for the top of the hour, for a special treat for all of you. So I think you will really enjoy this. And I'm flipping through what time we have left. And I thought the Beatitudes would be beautiful to read, but I'd really like to also read the message that is given for today's world. And my feeling about the divine feminine is so strong, having worked with Diana and now with Mother Mary for over 20 years and with Mary Magdalene for over 20 years, that the divine feminine is the answer to the world's wars. And the more we have women in leadership, and this is how they feel as well, the more chance we have at establishing total world peace, because women are the birthers. They are the people that care about children, and their leadership there's great leadership right now in America in Marianne Williamson, and there's great leadership all over the place that we need to fully embrace if we're going to get to this goal of world peace soon. So I'd like to read a selection. Do we have time, or should I just move to the special message? Because I know
we usually finish at 8 o'clock, and it's 3 minutes till 8, Marcia. So we do need to wrap up.
All right. So let me instead of reading excerpts, which are really beautiful, let me at least start with this message of the meditation on the rose for tonight's show. So this is Mother Mary, Mary Magdalene, and the message of peace. And we bless you with the rose of peace this evening. We rejoice in this moment that your work is to be highlighted on Scott's fine show. And peace for the world. This is your mother, Mary, and Mary Magdalene, and Princess Diana in the collective of the divine feminine energy. We send our rose a light of hope for the world at this sad time. And I'm being given a vision of a rose unfold. Rose is always symbolic of the divine feminine and flourishing for our new earth and the new beginning for the collective will of the people and goodwill everywhere. It has changed to peace for Israel, Palestine, the Middle East, and the Ukraine. Diana and I still feel that the two-state solution is the destiny stated that we would restore Earth to total world peace and great new possibilities of world cooperation. We would like to add that we see spiritual leadership and fine women emerging in America. And there is the promise of a brighter and newer democracy and future for America, for she has always been the standard of democracy. We in the circle of the rose of the hierarchy of the divine feminine herself send out the rays of light to all hearts healing the divisions and the hatred and melting that into peace, and then allowing love to expand the heart. So just feel the rose of my heart, Mother Mary and Mary Magdalene, as the gift of peace to all listeners this evening. It is I, Mother Mary, and I will now allow Mary Magdalene to have her say. And I'm going to close on that note. There's more. And I wish I would have had a chance to read from the book, but it is on Amazon and I have many websites. And you can look for the book under the title Mary Magdalene Speaks. There's another one with a title like that that isn't the right one. And this is the Holy Grail, the Bloodline, and the Secrets of the Divine Feminine.
Marcia, if you could, can you put the link? Because I actually went to your Mary Magdalene website and it's not up right now.
It should be. Okay, let me type it in again.
So maybe you can put the link into where the Amazon book is. Put that into the chat box and I'll bring it up before the show closes. Because I posted all of your websites, but the Mary Magdalene one isn't for whatever reason working. But if you can give us the link to the Amazon where people can buy it, I'll bring that up and I'll show it to people.
All right, see if I can bring that up.
Yeah.
I didn't bring it along with me, but let me see what I can do to get to Amazon.
We'll be on for another 5 or 6, maybe 7 minutes. So hopefully you can find it. And thank you for sharing with us what an incredible life you're having, connecting these amazing beings. It's very beautiful.
I'm really honored to bring forth the divine feminine messages and for peace, for world peace. That's an important job. And I couldn't have done it without the help of my angels and guides, but also the help of Bob Murray and my husband and so many other people that have said, yes, go ahead. This is genuine. This is true. So I hope you will all check it out. And I'm going to still search out Amazon for the link. But thank you for the opportunity to let me speak on the divine feminine. There are many more beautiful messages from Jesus, Mary Magdalene, and Mother Mary in the book, but I cover a lot of the female disciples and their untold stories. And I have discovered and studied the Gnostic Gospels, the Nag Hammadi, and the vast array of scholarly works that are in existence now that were just coming into translation at the time that I was doing this as well. And there are two other websites that I'd like to point readers to this evening. One is the Gospel of Mary, which is her true gospel, and the other is called The Gospel of the Beloved Companion. And that is another book released with no author. And it is said to be the treasured book of the Cathars, who revered Mary. And Mary, of course, is said to have settled in France after the crucifixion and have written Gospels. And there's all kinds of intriguing things that were said about these Gospels still being in the possession of the Vatican and never to be released. But the Nag Hammadi scripture was found in Egypt in the last century and translated in 1944, right after the war. So, you know, the divine feminine emerging as a spiritual movement right now is extremely important to all of us. And the respect of women the world over needs to be increased, and her voices need to be heard, especially in spiritual leadership in the United States. So that's my feeling.
You're absolutely right. And of course, that's something that we are always focusing on this show.
I know. Bless you for
As much
that.
as we can to really increase the support of the divine feminine. And some of you may recall that recently we had Eden Amadora, one of my regular co-hosts, who went to France, and we did 2 shows in a row all about the work with Mary Magdalene and all that. So thank you so much. There's quite a few comments coming in.
Yes.
And I'm going to read a few of these. George Noble says, I could listen to Marcia a long time, so we'll try and bring you back again.
Thank you. I would love to come back and read more excerpts. I may have gotten diverted in telling my story, but it's really not my story. It's delving into the most important story never told, and that's Jesus's life. A lot of stuff has been buried and edited out by the early church, by Constantine in the 325 AD with the council.
We know that the Council of Nicaea in 316 AD is when they decided which books to put in and what to edit, and we've tackled that many times on the show, and it's beautiful how so many people are getting their own inspiration, their own channeling, their own guidance, so that the truth is coming forward, and it's coming forward in a way that people can embrace the truth that matches where they are in their journey of life, in their journey of consciousness. So thank you, Marcia, so much for all the work. Oh my gosh,
Thank you.
It took 3 posts to get your bio into the chat box. So there's a lot that you're doing with your life.
I am, and I'm so grateful to be alive. I survived stage 4 cancer. I'm completely cancer-free, and I'm living my joy and my gratitude to the world and trying to repay with the gifts that I have to this world so that it's a better world for our children and for us immediately. And I do host the Circle of the Rose on Facebook, and I do monthly channelings with Mary Magdalene, Mother Mary, and Princess Diana. And I'm, you know, always available for my Akashic readings, my psychic readings, and I channel the masters. I also channel Archangel Michael, and I take requests for readings and regressions. I'm very good at past life regression, and this is how I discovered my own past life, not by regressing myself, but going to a professional. But I've since become professionally certified in that. So you can reach me at my email, and I'll type it.
I just posted it. Into the chat box. I got to move us forward, Marcia.
Sure.
Thank you so much for all that you're doing. Thank you.
I really appreciate your wonderful show and being here.
All right, thank you. Well, we're going to go to Omoshar in a moment, but Omoshar, I'm going to share something that I just learned. Our good friend Stephen Halpern, who's, of course, one of our musical artists that's been on the show going way back, Saturday Night Live, the Global Peace Tribe, sent me a message letting me know that we've had a passage. And many of you are probably familiar with this beautiful musician. I'm wondering, Omoshar, if he was an inspiration for you. And this is Iassos. And Iassos left his body today. He was really, for many people, he was the original Omoshar. He was
Iassos is such a beautiful man. I have been following his work for the last couple of decades or more. And holy smoke, really? Oh,
yeah, Iassos left us today. And I thought, you know, when I saw this, it came to me literally during the show. Stephen sent me the message and said, you may want to share this with everybody today. So, and I thought right away, oh, Marcia, I bet Yasos was one of your inspirations.
Yeah, I'm feeling it's like when people pass now, I almost don't know what to feel, because I feel I'm tearing up, and I feel, especially seeing that beautiful photo that you brought up of Yasos, and but knowing that he's still with us, but not in his current body, it almost causes a little bit of confusion in myself, you know, because my family was atheist, but I am not, and I'm fully aware that we're fully alive with or without this embodiment. So I really appreciate that. And Yasos, blessings to you, brother. You have brought us so much light and love through your music. And just to even look at you, I feel the Christ frequency through you. So thank you for your service to us.
I'm putting in the chat box the link to his obituary, and I'll just read one little piece of it because it really taps in. You know, look at how we just had Marcia, who, you know, is inspired and channels and connects to, you know, so many different deities. Here's a quote from Yasos. He said, this is something that he shared in a documentary about his life. He said, around 1967, I started hearing music in my head. I didn't know where it was coming from, but it was like a radio station inside my brain. I was running around and I was listening to it and I was loving it. And this lasted for several years. And then around 1973, I had a profound experience where I sensed a particular being from a higher dimension. And I knew in that instant that he was one that all this time had been purposely, mind to mind, transmitting into my mind. And I also remembered him from before I was born. I realize it's hard to believe, but at least I'm telling you what I believe, and you're free to handle that reality any way you like. And that's what led him on his journey of creating some of the most inspirational music. So I'm going to, one more time, just take a look at this beautiful, beloved brother.
Beautiful being, man. And I think, did he not post quite a few times on the Global Peace Tribe messages? I'm pretty sure I've seen him on there, posted to us. I'll have to scroll back through it.
That would be interesting to know. I mean, that name is, you know, it's familiar, so you might be like it. You never know who's watching. You never know who's watching. But I know this, we're all going to watch you play a song with maybe a little extra inspiration as you think of your brother Yasos.
I believe in the one voice, the spirit of our land, blowing me, blowing you, home to forever. And I not so far away, a world that breathes as one. So I live for this day and no more tomorrows. Each day a new creation, a golden path before us. Our angel wings may open and soar us to new heights of understanding. Each day a new creation, a golden path before us. Our angel wings they open and soar us to new heights of understanding. Yes, oh dear brother, we're so glad you graced us with your music, with your love.
Thank you, beautiful, beloved brother Omar. Let's all twinkle him.
That was poignant, man. Having that information just as I went into that, it took it to new depths, because just hearing that opened my heart just a little bit wider. And yeah.
I had a feeling that that would be your experience, Omar.
Yeah. So thank you, Stephen, because Stephen, we know him. What a pioneer, what a brilliant musician he is.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you were following well in the footsteps of Iassos Vangelis, who passed away recently.
I know, right?
I saw him. Vangelis only did 5 concerts in his entire life, and I went to one of them. It was at Poly Pavilion in Westwood, and John Anderson of Yes, and he collaborated on some albums, and I was a big fan of theirs. And John convinced him to do a concert with John singing and Vangelis playing in LA. They did it in Westwood, and I was there.
I remember the music that John and Vangelis did together. It's beautiful.
Yeah,
absolutely profound. I would recommend
I think they did 2 or 3 albums, and they were fabulous.
Yes, right.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, we will be back on Saturday night, and it is going to be a really great show. It's MLK, Martin Luther King weekend. And my co-host is going to be the wonderful Antoinette Roots-Data, Pato's partner. And we're going to be seeing excerpts of their movie that's about to come out, The Spirit of Ubuntu. And Kelly Love Jones is coming back. Remember, we just had her on the show a few weeks ago. And Fanny and Vigari are going to be here as well. So we're going to have some wonderful music, and of course, Omar and some special guests. So make sure you're with us on Saturday night, and have a wonderful, wonderful few days between now and then. Much love to each and every one of you. Now, one last thing. I apologize. I know that we've had some issues with some of the Zoom room links. I think that Zoom changed their settings because of the new year. So just before tonight's show, Omar and I did a little practice run with a pair of links that absolutely positively work. So I will send out an email to all of you that are our Zoom room subscribers with the links that you absolutely can save that will work for the next 3 months, now until the end of March. And I am sorry for anybody who had a challenge with it. I know some of you are watching us on Facebook, but all subscribers, I'll email the proper links to you in the next day or two, certainly before Saturday. And finally, for those of you who are watching on Facebook, now that you've had a chance to experience us, guess what? We want you to join us. Come join the Global Peace Tribe. It's easy. Just go to globalpeacetribe.com. We have a very full website. You can learn all about us. And then click register for the new season. And when you do that, it'll take you to our registration page. We do 2 or 3 shows every week. We do an evening meditation every night, all available to you. Here's the show we just did tonight. Here's the show we're going to do on Saturday night. Click register and join us. You'll get the Zoom room links, the proper ones, I promise. And you'll also get an email with all of our replays and recordings of previous shows. So come join the Global Peace Tribe. Much love to each and every one of you, everybody. Have a wonderful evening. I'm going to go to gallery review one last time, and we'll look forward to seeing you on Saturday night. And thank you again to our wonderful authors that we love, Dr. Gerri Schwartz, Marcia McMahon, and Lisa Manfield. Thank you so very, very much for being with us. Good night, everybody.